People really thought the last guide of the week would be BSN. Bitch, I'll be glad to get in by the end of the year. God damn, you really don't expect to peach you from the start, but at least I'm doing it now, so wish me well. Fuck, this is gonna be long. It's not even gonna be a lightning bolt, guys, so let's just jump into it. Alright, L1, Apuellela Outback. There are a total of 5 areas that need to be completed in 5 minutes, so the party will have to split into relatively equal groups. This requires prior coordination and consistent teamwork, so try not to goof off. Typically, the party host assigns teams based on class and damage. If they don't know how to, that's why I'm here. The first area I'll explain is the most unique of them all, and is called Mountains. Only one person will take care of this platform. Located at the very north of the map, the mountains involve scaling a volcanic mountain in order to get to the summit, which is completely covered in deadly magma and inhabited by hostile singe wings, guarding 5 eggs. The favorite path for this area is to the right, and is shown here. Take note to avoid the radius of the singe wings, as they are extremely sensitive to your presence. One blast from them can leave you with very little health, and they usually don't spare you from a second kill shot, so just be patient. Also, take caution with the magma you come across, as their hitboxes are deceivingly wide. They melt through your health hard, so just make sure you have healing aura laughing tears in case you do get hit significantly. Alright, you reach the top. What happens now? Well, now you check to see if you actually brought the correct item required to complete this platform, the override code for the Singe Wing transformation. Available for purchase in Marianne's guild shop, you can buy up to 3 Singe Wings transformations each week, so use them wisely. This override code, as the name implies, allows you to transform into a Singe Wing, which lets you go onto the magma and take consistent but minimal damage. Now evolved into a Singe Wing, your goal is to destroy all 5 eggs being guarded by the other Singe Wings while avoiding their detection radius. Despite your appearance, they will still attack you. Ever get close to a duck that has eggs? Yeah, that. Anywho, to destroy the eggs, all you need to do is simply hit them with your A attack, so hopefully if you have a macro, it's not down to A, otherwise you're boned. The distance of the melee shot is actually further than you expect, so just go for it and proceed with the other eggs. Big tip, as a Singe Wing, you can still use stamina to fly faster, so this is extremely useful when you want to both dodge the detection radii of the Singe Wings and make sure you clear the area in time. I put emphasis on that last part because if you take too long with the eggs, they will despawn, and it takes almost the entire time of the raid for them to respawn, so it's essentially a fail if you don't get all 5 in one go. Once all the eggs are destroyed, deactivate your Singe Wing transformation and just die, because once you respawn, you'll be right at the pot to put in your orb. If you're a pain in the ass, then head down to the bird and have someone pull you from this northern bird. Next, Vultures. This is a region that can only be done by range classes, so this is where assassins, archers, and the like would go. Located towards the northwest, it's the same concept as a Singe Wing, except you're attacking the cliff Kios directly. If you step into the radius, the Kios will fly away, like Karen and my kids, and be aware that you need to kill a total of 30 to fill the Vulture aura. Rotate around the map either by epic mount or by using a buddy to activate a bridge with the tiles right here. Once done, use the following path to get by faster, or just wait for the bird and someone will call it using this other bird. Another one is Golems, the complete opposite of Vultures. Only melee classes can do this area because the IR only take damage from physical attack, not magic attack. Runeblades, Knights, Thieves, and Berserkers are all welcome across the Eastern Bridge, especially if they can gather the Vyar into a pile to make life as a whole more tolerable, because they like to be spread apart and resist knockback when preparing to jump everywhere. Having the biggest bounty requirement of 60, Golems need to be done as a team, and not 2 or 3 individuals trying to get the highest damage in a fair-fighted raid. That will most likely go to whoever is doing wolves. Located southwest of Apuellela Outback, various high locales will have to be taken out, but in a certain way. Unless they are stunned, these dogs cannot be killed, so one of 2 things can be done. The first involves at least 2 people, with one being the stunner, aka an ice wizard or having to with stun grenades, and the other being the killer, which is literally anyone in the entire party. Once a high locale pack is grouped and stunned, the killer needs to quickly eliminate the pack in one go, otherwise the remaining dogs will just heal continuously until stunned again. This is a pain in the ass to stun just a couple dogs, so I would just continue to the next pack and rotate until you have 40 dead dogs on your hands. The second option, a singular soulbinder can solo wolves by some means, you'll figure it out, I don't fucking know, and dish out 9-digit numbers. To return to the platform, just take the same path as Vultures. Finally, there's Cactuses, which can be done by quite literally any duo or trio, though typically one of them is the priest. The reason for this is that once you jump off the Eastern Bridge, you will be greeted by a bunch of needlers that don't take damage unless stunned in a certain way. A lone wooden pillar stands in each area, ready for one person to stand above it and play music. Yes, the only way that you can kill 50 cacti is by gathering them at the pillar and becoming a multi-person pink bee. As the selected person plays music, they will emit a shockwave that forces the needlers to dance, rendering them vulnerable. Rotate through the areas, and once done, wait for someone to pull the bird on the Eastern Bridge to lift you up. With all 5 ores now in their respective pot, you've just completed the pain in the ass called L1. Next up is L2, Rainbow Slime Factory. This one is easier mechanically, but requires constant communication between the operators at the bottom and everyone else up top. The goal of this level is to successfully create a rainbow slime in 10 minutes by leading multicolored slimes to a central lava pit. Decide beforehand what duo will go on the bottom and call the shots, while the other members of the party go to the factory. On the bottom level, the control team is in charge of monitoring the progress screen and calling shots based on it, as well as occasionally filling the paint tanks with their respective colors to continue production. 1 bar seems to equal 2 regular sized slimes, and each square is equivalent to 4 bars, meaning 8 regular sized slimes. Use this as your scale. The goal is to get all 5 meters to this red mark here. Luckily, it doesn't have to be exact. You can have the meters either 1 bar lower or 1 bar higher than the mark and not fail the run. The control team will be the ones that start and end the level by hitting the switch and later hitting the console. As for the factory labor, you will see 5 areas adhering to 5 different colors: green, blue, orange, purple, and pink. It's not really necessary to split into teams and stay at each, but just work together in leading the slimes that come from each area to the lava pit. I'm not sure how other guilds run this, but the method that has worked well in my experience involves starting with only the first 3 colors. Seeing as all 5 areas are activated upon hitting the switch below, have 2 people turn off the switch to purple and pink immediately. Don't worry about the ones that get by, they're just fragments. One thing to definitely worry about is the chance for contaminated gel limes to appear. These corrupted slimes will spawn occasionally during the process and will try to consume the other slime, getting bigger and tougher to kill. If one gets in the lava pit, progress takes a sharp hit and sets the team back by a lot. Work as a group to call out and quickly eliminate any that appear. A method I use to facilitate communication is calling out the size and color area in which one appears. So for example, large blue or medium purple, stuff like that. Another thing that both teams should have in mind is that as time goes by, the slimes in the mixture decay. So if the level gets too low, the color will have to be temporarily reactivated. So what I would do as a control member is to call a specific factory worker to take care of it, instead of leaving it up to 8 people to choose who's going to help. Small notes to end off for the factory workers. If you have gathering abilities such as Gravity Rune, you can easily grab a ton of stubborn slimes into the lava pit and hasten the process. If you have the aggro of a bunch of slimes and they're pretty close to the pit, just cross through the lava. It won't kill you unless you stand in it long enough. With all that done, hit the console and enjoy your happy little slime. Get on the black blocks surrounding the slime and you will eventually become a rainbow slime yourself, granting a trophy upon doing so. The same thing happens if you fail and produce a massive contaminated gel line. Okay, there's L2, easy peasy. Alright, L3, Battle Arena. Literally just a gauntlet match against elites and bosses. The party host will determine the order in which people go up on the platform to enter the arena. This is usually done by looking at attack score and class type, since we typically put the priest in 3rd, and everyone else just goes in by descending order of DPS. The final boss is Amadon, which you've probably met in Ludaria Arena, so you also know that she has a big knockback ability, one that can knock you off the arena. If this happens, you can't get back, so try to stay in the center as much as possible. If you somehow die in L3, hope that you remove your tombstone earlier, because you can revive only once in this arena and continue to support the group. Fair fight is a thing, you know? Boom, L3, done. L4, Ice Beast's dead. 6 minutes to clear a platforming section and defeat Acreon at the end. Before you even step foot in here, make sure that you have a minimum of 1 override code climate control. Not to be confused with Singe-Wing transformation, climate control allows you to withstand the cold air in L4, making it so you can't get frozen while being alive. For new people or people that enjoy being cozy, I recommend bringing 2 to 3 codes, which can be a bit pricey if you're low on guild coins. I personally only use 1 at the very beginning, because that's exactly long enough for me to get through the entire platforming section and reach Acreon. At the first ice wall, just look at the path I take, it's worth every time. Up here, we have some ads. Deal with them, jump across. Take out these ads, get on your epic mount, run, jump, and walk your way to the second ice wall. Take this path while also watching out for the icicles that are really sensitive and freeze you instantly. Congrats! You made it to Acreon. Now live! Acreon is way tougher than when he's on Lavender Island. This makes sense now that I think about it. This is his actual home. Jesus. Take caution not to get hit by his attacks, as they obviously do way more damage while you do way less. So it's extremely important to have nearly everybody in the party attacking Acreon. I'm not going to go over the specifics since you should have battled Acreon at least once in the past, but one thing I'll make sure to point out is to note his animation here. This means he's ready to jump to one of the 2 hills or back down to the center, so grab on. For those that choose to go the 1 code route, take note of your debuff corner. Every now and then, you'll begin to slow down, eventually freezing completely at 5 stacks. Before this happens, you can just get on your mount and run around to avoid getting screwed while frozen. The biggest thing to note about this whole level is the fact that if you die at any point without your tombstone removed, you end up at the very beginning. 1 or 2 deaths can define a clear or a fail, so don't focus so much on damage as much as survival. With enough coordination and teamwork, you should be able to clear what I find to be the hardest level in the entire raid. L4 is now done, time for the final stage. L5, Eternal Arena, combines a damage check with careful communication, as the goal of this final exercise is to simultaneously take out the brothers Hemus and Pamos in less than 5 minutes, but with a certain stipulation. Both bosses have auras around them with certain handicaps that limit them to specific classes. Hemus has a blue aura that slowly freezes players inside of the area, sort of like L4, while Pamos has a red aura that cuts the maximum health of players within the zone. If you couldn't piece the puzzle together yet, this means that the party will have to split as evenly as possible into ranged and melee groups respectively, with people attacking Hemus outside of his aura and the others attacking Pamos inside his aura. Have one person and only one person in each group call out the percentage of health left for their boss as time goes on, so the raid can actually be cleared. This is because there are 3 things to be noted. First, the bosses should never overlap except at one point, which I'll explain in a second. If the brothers' auras overlap, both begin to heal at a relatively rapid rate, so it's important to keep them separated. To do so, check to see if you have the aggro of one of the brothers. It'll appear as a giant pillar of colored light and red indicators below your character, as it always has been. And yes, it is sometimes possible for you to get the aggro of both brothers at the same time, so just hope for the best. Second note, I believe when both brothers reach the 50% mark of their health, or at least Hemus does, he will go to the center of the arena and destroy the steel walls that protected everyone from poisonous water. This should be the only point that the brothers overlap, but it's okay, because it doesn't seem like that healing effect ever happens during that phase. Third note, and the reason why you want to synchronize with the other team. As soon as one brother hits 5% of their health remaining, he'll be incapacitated for a very short span of time. In that small window, the other brother has to go down to 5% as well. Otherwise, the other one that was down and out will revive all the way to 50%. In a fair fighted raid, that's about as clear as a fail as it can get. Make sure to communicate effectively with your group to take out both brothers and finally end this hella long raid. That's it! You finally completed L1 through L5 of the guild raid. More often than not, your rewards will consist of accessory and armor attribute lock scrolls, guild coins, and the like. But then again, everyone has a chance at earning hella mesos, the noble exemplar items, which include the name tag, crown, and throne eagle, all of which are hella rare, so good luck. Now enjoy using the lock scrolls you just got, only to reroll values lower than the ones you already had, because reroll values are skewed to hell. Thank you, and goodbye.